fans, and welcome to another suddenlycomics.com video. It's a Monday, so it's a price variant show, and as usual I've got Alan here, and this is our second week in which we are focusing on authors, writers of comic books. Last week I did Gary Spencer Millage, and Alan did Eric Powell, the writer of The Goon. And Alan is so persuasive in his discussion of Eric Powell. I have purchased Goon #1 and Goon #2 from Dark Horse, literally arrived 5 minutes before this recording started, so I haven't read them yet, but I am looking forward to doing that. So I've just done my second author, which is Jim Starlin, and I've done that on Alan's channel. So, you know, I'm going to put the link down below so you can go and watch me talking about quite a lot of stuff and a little bit about Jim Starlin.
It was a great conversation, though. Great conversation.
Somehow we got onto talking about Alec Guinness in Star Wars. I'm not quite sure how that happened. Right, so I'm going to pass over to Alan. I don't know who he's going to talk about. It's probably going to be somebody who draws good girls or bad girls. But anyway, over to Alan.
So it isn't, strangely. I probably should have picked something like that. I'm going to show you, and this one is kind of a weird choice because I kind of love and hate this writer.
Okay.
So it's kind of a weird one. I've read pretty much, like I actually bought the whole entire runs of his series, and I've read them all. So I've read his entire runs that he did. And there's parts of it that I really, really enjoy, and parts of it that just drive me crazy. So it's kind of an interesting one.
Yeah.
So it's Brian K. Vaughan.
Oh, okay. That's yeah.
This is Why the Last Man.
Yeah.
They just did a series about this. It got canceled. Okay. And they got canceled for what drives me crazy about this writer.
Right.
And so Brian K. Vaughan is a very proud feminist. Okay. And a lot of his politics, you know, he tries to, cater to the LGBTQ community. He tries to cater to feminists. Women are just as good as men, all this kind of elements. And that's what I find is his weakness. Okay. Those are his weakness. That if he just, in a way, got rid of the feminism and just focused on the stories that he can tell, he's got some really great stories. So in Why the Last Man, it is like, the Y chromosome, right? And there's just this one guy that manages to survive. Henrik is his name. And he manages to survive, and every other man is dead. So there's no other men on the planet. Actually, there's no even other males on the planet. So even animals, all the male animals are dead, except for his little monkey, Houdini, kind of like, no, Astrid, Ambersand, the monkey. Okay. So if you look at that little monkey, and it's a great story. It's a really great story. It shows like how society kind of collapses a little bit. It's got really good story elements, but then it's kind of taken down a notch because of the feminism. And when they made it in the series on Hulu, I think it was on Hulu, they kind of went too far with the feminism, like even more than what he had, right? So,
right.
So that kind of destroyed the show. So
did you watch the show?
No, I haven't. I was actually planning to watch it, but haven't watched it yet. But but the comic is quite interesting. Like, some of the dynamics that are in it. Like, there's like, and it kind of, in a way, it kind of works because of the feminism. Because like one of the groups that is inside this story is like sort of these feminazis, I guess. They're kind of like these women that see the end of mankind or end of men as being a good thing, and they're basically going around hunting for any potential men. And when they hear about him, they are like hunting after him to try to get rid of that last man kind of thing. So there's that kind of element to the story. So it's actually quite good. And I actually enjoyed it. So there's like, I forget how many issues it is. It's like almost 100 issues or something like that. It was quite good. So these are just some of the covers. And the artwork for the covers are quite good.
Yeah.
And so interesting.
Yeah.
And the way it ends is actually quite interesting too, because he's an escape artist. And so it's kind of, he's kind of a goofy guy. He just like, he's got this escape artist kind of talent. And he can slip out of.
So why did he survive?
There were groups that were trying to protect him. So there's like this agent, and then there's this, his mom actually was like in the government, and just because of the situation, like, it's like, when the president dies, the vice president becomes president, and then so forth, it kind of goes down.
Yeah.
And so just so many people disappeared that his mom is like, oh, you're the new president. Congratulations. It's like, it's kind of like, she's like, oh, but I'm agricultural minister or something, like, it's like some really lame like thing. And all of a sudden she's president. So, and then there's like a little bit of friction between the two groups. Obviously she's a Democrat, and the Republican ones, these Republican women, are kind of like trying to like strong arm and take over the government. Obviously he's got a bit of that left leaning too, like, that these evil Republicans are gonna, use their guns to try to take over the government or something. So it was a good series though. Actually, I enjoyed it. So as I said, I'm not sure about his politics though. I'm not sure if I agree on that. I'm more on the
I mean, there's nothing wrong with having beliefs, but I think when you let it override the storytelling, that's a problem.
Yeah. Another story that doesn't quite do that as much is, and it's a great story too, is another by Brian K. Vaughan, is Saga. Really great story.
Yeah.
Really great. It just showcases a lot of he's very creative. So like, there's like, it's basically a love story. Again, it has a bit of that element of like, all people are the same. We all have to get along, kind of element.
It's a bit like Romeo and Juliet, isn't it?
Romeo and Juliet. So
star-crossed lovers and all that.
Star-crossed lovers, basically. Yeah. So have you read the series as well?
I've read a few of them, yes.
Yeah. So it's that star-crossed lover thing. They're basically there are two groups that hate each other and are trying to wipe each other out, really. It's like pretty brutal, and they have a baby together. So it's that baby that kind of becomes the focus of the story. And I think there's a lot of really imaginative things in it, I think, that are quite good. I think it's
a lot of critical acclaim for that.
And very deserving of it, I believe. I think it was great. So I'm just going to show some of the covers. Oh, and there's like these ghosts. I think there's like a ghost forest where, like, he has all these brilliant things where there's this ghost forest where all the people that died in the war, they sort of haunt this forest and protect it. And it's, I don't know, there's like these really kind of interesting little sub stories that I thought were kind of good. And then there's this like bounty hunter.
Yeah.
And another character that was kind of interesting is this guy with the like sort of like a TV head almost. I don't know. TV head. Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. When I was a kid, I would always draw a character that was very similar. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, wow, this is just like the character I used to draw as a kid. So, and then I just brought the first 6 issues. I actually have the entire run of Saga. I picked up a lot of these things before they got hot, and they're like really expensive now. Like like I bought the whole
That
series
issue, yeah, all
I bought
6 of those.
like Why the Last Man. I think number 1 is like a $1,000 to $2,000 book now. I bought the whole series, the whole run, mint, for like $100. So
Wow, that was a good buy.
yeah, even Paper Girls, I think it was about the same one. So this is another series that he did. Actually, and I read the whole series. So I've read all of his series. So Paper Girls is quite good. You know, you get that forced lesbian thing going on. But it's quite good. There's like I'm very partial to like time travel, and there's a lot of time travel stuff going on in this. You know, they meet their older selves and stuff like that. They find out that one of them is dead. You know, it's like, and you know, like they got cancer or something. Like, you know, it's like there's like a whole bunch of kind of cool time elements. So I paid cover for all these, so got the whole series. So I don't know. It's this kind of art style. I'm not sure.
That's been optioned as well, hasn't it?
I believe so. And I think it's worthy. I think it would be a very good series. It really depends. Like, I'm sort of worried, you know, because he has that kind of woke kind of element to his writing. If the people that kind of, you know, make the show kind of embrace that,
yeah,
then that becomes the focus, and then all the cool elements that are really enjoyable get lost. Like, I think the best episodes or best comics from the series are the ones where the wokeness kind of, it gets dialed down a bit. Yeah, it's in the background. You don't really notice it. But it's when the wokeness is kind of front and center. It's like, oh. So as I said, I love and hate this writer. I just think if he wasn't so woke, I think he would be a brilliant writer. I actually even got, like, just because I really did like the series, I even got the 9/8 slab of Paper Girls. And I think this is still a cheap book. You can still pick it up. I think it's like a couple $100 now.
Yeah.
I paid like 80. You know, I wasn't, wasn't that expensive at the time. And it's white pages. So,
well, I would hope it is. It's not that old.
Yeah, I know. So, and then the other series that he did is Ex Machina, or Mechana, whatever way you want to pronounce it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then the other series that he did that most people don't realize that he did was Marvel's Runaway. The Runaways. So that was another one that they did do a TV series about it. I think it had 2 or 3 seasons. So it was okay. Yeah. Again, all the girls in the show, if you watch Marvel Runaways, it's got that feminism to it. So all the girls have all the powers, and the guys are kind of lame. Like, the guys, their powers, like, well, one guy can kind of make things. He's kind of smart. Of course, he's the black guy. You know, it's like, and the white guys, I don't know, he's not really that great. Yeah, it's got that political element. So again, if it didn't have that, I think it would be just brilliant. You know, he's a great writer. Just his own politics destroy him, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've got some Why the Last Man in the attic somewhere, and I have got the trade paperback of Saga, but it's again, it's a lot of this occurred in the period where I wasn't collecting comics.
Yeah, so me either. Yeah, so I picked these up after the fact as well.
Yeah, so this is all since 2000, isn't it? Since you know,
yeah, these are all like 2005 era, I think.
Yeah.
And that's when my daughter was born. So I'm like, oh my God, I got to come up with money. You know, and I don't have money for comics at that time.
Well, exactly. Yeah. So exactly the same as me. My kids were not quite as young as yours, but you know, they were 7 or 8, 9, 10. And I wasn't doing comics. I was doing feeding children and paying school bills.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's my choice.
That's a good choice. That's a good choice. I didn't know a lot about it.
I think it even, like, you know, sometimes, like, I always try to keep a very open mind about anything that I read. And, even though I don't always agree with people, I always try to keep an open mind and listen to the story. And really,
Yeah.
I can, like, it's sort of like bad movies. There's certain movies that I just really love, even though they're terrible. They're just really, really bad movies. Like a good example is They Live. I love that movie. They Live is a terrible movie though. It's if you do you know it? Like it's where the aliens, they've sort of taken over the world, and you can use sunglasses and you can see them. Okay.
Oh yeah, I know it. Yeah.
I mean, if you watch that movie, it's got a lot of bad acting. It's got one soundtrack that they play through the whole entire movie. It's like the worst. But I love that movie. I think it's a great movie. I think I've watched it like 3 or 4 times. Like I really enjoy that movie.
Yeah, but some things go so bad they become good.
Oh, but no, but the reason I love it is not just because that's true too, that some bad movies can be just so bad that they're like Plan 9 from Outer Space or something like that. Yeah. They're so bad that they're great or brilliant and great thing. But what I really appreciate about They Live is the story and the relevance of the story, even like that whole the whole world is being like kind of like we're kind of being propagandized, and we're like the wool is being pulled over our eyes in a way, and we're not really seeing it for what it is. And it's a lot of it. I love that. I just love that story component. So I can forgive all the other stuff if I can just appreciate that core story. So that's kind of one of my
yeah. What you're saying is if it's got an original strong plot, you can forgive a lot of the acting and the other stuff.
Bad production. But I thought actually with They Live, it's kind of interesting because they used wrestlers. Like it's like Rowdy Piper or something, and the other guy, the black guy, is also a wrestler too. They're wrestlers, so it's like it's got that, you can tell there's a lot of the wrestling element to it. It's kind of funny. So yeah, I that's a great movie. Have you seen it? Or
I don't think I have actually. I'm going to
go see that movie.
It's bound to be on Netflix or Prime. It's bound to be on Netflix or Prime Video.
It's somewhere out there. It's worthy of watching. So yeah. So Brian K. Vaughan and They Live. So that's my choice for this week.
That's your picks for this week.
That's my pick.
So yeah. I was completely wrong that didn't contain any good girl or bad girl art.
No, it didn't.
So I think that's the first time, Alan, you've surprised me. Yeah. So that's excellent. Mm-hmm. So Alan, thank you very much for that. That was really interesting. I hadn't actually connected those 3 things as being from the same author. So I knew of all of them. Yeah. But I hadn't realized they'd all been written by the same guy, which is obviously why you picked them up. So that's really great. And thank you for that. And that is it. Unless you've got anything else you want to add, Alan? No. So that is it for today's show. Enough said.